Winter Storm Quinn, another serious nor'easter slamming New England tonight. Snowfall rates intense, wind intense, road conditions horrific. We have got you covered tonight with our team spread out across New England, updating you on what's happening. I'm Mike Bettis in Worcester, Massachusetts. We also have Kelly O'Hara. She is in Lowell, Massachusetts tonight. We also have in Nashua, New Hampshire, Chris Warren, our experts in-house tonight, updating you on the conditions with the snow as it continues to fall this evening. What are the cities that we're worried about tonight? There are numerous cities. Philadelphia, New York, Boston, all these places could have serious travel issues, not only on the roadways, but at the airports as well. Literally thousands of flights have been canceled today as a result of Winter Storm Quinn. Conditions may only get worse tonight in many locations, especially northern New England. Here in central Massachusetts, boy, the snow is coming down at such a rate. You shovel it, and you just got to shovel it again an hour later because snowfall rates have been 2 inches an hour, and you just want to keep up with it. This is a heavy, wet snow. We call this heart attack snow, so you can dig down because temperatures are still relatively warm, right around freezing or so you can still get the blade of your shovel down underneath the snow and scrape it off. But beware, you don't want to necessarily pick this up and use all your back and stiff leg it. Use your legs, bend at your knees, and then toss small amounts of snow because the liquid to snow ratio is huge with this, okay? We're talking, you know, you're looking at snow, I should say low. You're looking at probably a water equivalent of maybe 7 to 1 or so, something like that, okay? So it's just a really heavy, wet snow. This will be the case throughout the evening. Let's talk about other places where it was rain for a good chunk of the day. Places closer to Boston, okay, a little bit closer to the water where you had a little bit of influence from the Atlantic Ocean. Places like Lowell, Massachusetts. Kelly O'Hara is there this evening. Kelly, what was so interesting about watching you throughout the evening is that it was rain, 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 cold rain, miserable rain. Thought, my goodness, is it ever going to change over to snow there? But as soon as it did, boy, the skies just unloaded on you, right?
Oh, absolutely, Mike. Amen to that one. It was absolutely awful. It just a cold, wet rain standing out here for hours, and it just was a unrelenting rain, and now it's an unrelenting snow, as you can see. The snow has fallen, it's fallen hard, and it's fallen fast, and it is clogging up these roadways pretty quickly. I mean, take a look at how thick this snow is that is falling right here on the street. It is a wet, packed snow. The city, or a lot of people actually rather, in this region concerned about this type of snow. That's because this is the type of snow right here that is hot, cold, wet, and that really could take down power lines, as you can see. Just look at that. Imagine all of this wet snow hanging out tonight on the power lines outside of your house with those tree branches. This is what a lot of people here in the city and also all over, you know, basically the Northeast is really concerned about, because this is the stuff that takes down the power lines, and that is the real concern. From Lowell, you can see live pictures down, of course, looking at the city of Boston, one of the greatest cities, excuse me, because that's where I'm from. And you can see the snow is falling there. The snow just blanketing the entire Northeast region right now, really slowing down traffic, of course, on the roads. A lot of people want people to stay off the roads, of course, and let the plowmen and women do their work. And the reason for also the heavy snow, the city of Boston is calling off schools tomorrow, along with Worcester. Here in Lowell, it remains to be seen. I'm told that's because the kids have already reached their max days for the school year. They've already maxed out all their snow days. So the big concern there is now, of course, you know, as we get into spring and summer, is like these kids are going to be in school, you know, maybe in late June, maybe in early July, making up all these snow days. So creating a crazy situation right now all over the roadways, all over the region with all this heavy snow that is falling. And as we know, it's not letting up anytime soon within the next 12 hours as the snow is going to continue to fall. And of course, looking forward, the big concern now is what's going to happen next week. And of course, Dr. Navarro can talk to us all about what we should be expecting. Hi, Dr. Navarro.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kelly. We are expecting several more inches of snow here across New England in the next couple of hours. Just amazing totals coming out of this storm and still ongoing. We now have over 2 feet of snow being recorded in Sloatsburg, New York. Look at this, 23 inches in northern New Jersey. I lived there for years, and I've seen very few events that had that amount of totals. That is just amazing. Double digits all across the board here. And again, we're still going with this system for the next 12 hours. Lots more still to come, with Boston and areas farther to the north being next in line for that heavy snow. If you were watching Tom Nizzle just in the last couple of hours, he was talking a lot about this mesoscale banding. That's the very dark colors that you're seeing on this radar here, both in the western parts of Connecticut, Massachusetts, as well as going up into Vermont. And then you can see those darker colors now spreading over the Boston area. That is potentially 1 to 2 inch snowfall rates, maybe higher. Very heavy snow coming down in a very short amount of time. That not only, again, creates that issue for the power outages, but that could mean very low visibilities on the roadways, very dangerous travel conditions. That snow is clearing out of northern New Jersey and New York City. You can see the cloud cover there, but that heavy snow has moved into areas across Connecticut, and it continues. And the other amazing thing about this system is the gradient of that snowfall, how close those heavy totals come. Here's that snowfall report in North Caldwell, New Jersey, 19 inches, but just 16 miles to the east here in Central Park, New York, only 2.5 inches. That is a difference of over 10 inches in a very short amount of area. That's the kind of snowfall that we're talking about with this system. Again, just incredible to see how things are setting up here. Here's a look at Massachusetts. Again, these are the areas we're watching here. Heavy snow being reported in Worcester, 29 degrees there, so temperatures well below freezing. But off to the east in Boston, we're sitting just above the freezing mark. But notice the blue colors have overspread that area, which means we've changed over to snow in that region, with the temperatures plummeting overnight. These are the visibilities right now. You can see we're down to 1/4 mile in Worcester, 1/2 mile in Springfield, and this is going to continue through the evening. We'll have much more on the coverage coming up after this.
Snowy scene all over New England, especially here, of course, up in the Northeast. And we're going to take a look. This is live photos from Waterbury, Connecticut, just outside of Hartford there, and the snow is coming down there as well. The snow unrelenting all over the Northeast. We're in Lowell, Massachusetts right now, where you can see the snow has been coming down. You can see the trucks are out right now, plowing the sidewalks, plowing the roads, trying to make sure that it stays safe in case people, need to drive, which, of course, everyone says stay off the roads, don't drive. We're here in downtown Lowell in the shadow of City Hall. Lowell, for many of you who may or may not know, is an old historic mill town. It's called the Mill City, and that beautiful City Hall there has been around for quite some time, since the mills were up and running. We are here on the side of the Merrimack River, where it is blowing hard, the wind tonight, and the snow is coming down at a very, very fast rate, at least 1 to 2 inches an hour. And you can see just how much this heavy, heavy, thick snow is coming down. Earlier, we caught up with a fire chief here, who is also the boss of emergency management, and he says the big concern with this heavy, heavy snow is people need to keep it far away from their vents so they don't get any carbon monoxide poisoning. Take a listen.
Some of the new heating systems have direct vents that are about 3 feet off the ground, and if we do get a big snow buildup, it can block your vent, and the fumes from your heater can back up into your house and cause problems with carbon monoxide. It's a silent, deadly killer.
And a good warning there, of course, keep everything away from those vents, because that's just something sometimes we don't think about. We're so worried about so many things with the heavy snow falling. Are the kids going to be out of school? How are we driving? Sometimes we forget about our vents, and that is the most important, because that is the air that we breathe. Of course, talking about a lot more about the snow and the things that we should be aware of in the next 24 hours. This meteorologist Mark Elliott. We're going to toss it back in studio. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Kelly. Amazing what the difference a few hours made when you were talking with the fire chief to now. I mean, the snowfall rates are just incredible out there. And that's not the only spot. Look at the roads here. A lot of people in New York have seen big snowfall totals as well. This is near Newburgh. Whiteout conditions on New York Thruway. The New York Department of Transportation tonight issuing a travel advisory advising everyone to stay off the roads if you can. Now, we know not everyone can stay off the roads. There are essential personnel that say have to get to the hospital. It's why they don't want everyone on the road, so those 1 or 2 people that do have to be out there can make it as safely as they can, just going slowly and trying to chug right through. Let's talk a little bit about what we know right now, including that still about 689,000 customers are without power tonight. It's a whopping number, and unfortunately, Kelly, could continue to grow as the storm moves north. State of emergency in in New Jersey, and in 26 counties in Pennsylvania. Boston public schools closed Thursday, and there are still 33.6 million under winter storm warnings. We are also watching the storm as it slides up the New England coastline, not only in a place like Boston, where the snow is still going to be going sideways, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts for the next couple of hours, maybe by the morning commute time slowing down to 30, 35 miles per hour, but there will still be snow or blowing snow out there. And then we look further north. You look at a place like Portland, you're just really starting your show. Several hours of steady, if not heavy snow. Here's 3 a.m. Here's your morning, still snowing pretty good. Maybe easing up by the afternoon, but not completely done until the evening of Thursday. So you put all that together for a place like Portland. Look at this. This is snow still to come. We're still talking about a foot of additional snow in portions of Maine, a fairly widespread event at that. So timing through Thursday afternoon, 12 to 18 inches total snow, temperatures in the low to mid 30s. We'll be right back.
All right, it is a battle against Mother Nature right now as Winter Storm Quinn is snowing like crazy. Snowfall rates 2+ inches per hour in a lot of locations with mesoscale banding setting up. That means that the storm, in essence, is just max producing the snow at this point. Here we are in Worcester, Massachusetts, everyone. Plows are trying to do their best to keep up with it, okay? Plow just ripped on through here. My man Bill is working hard. The guy has been out here at the hotel here literally like every 45 minutes to an hour shoveling the snow, trying to keep at least the front entrance here and the sidewalks clear. Enough where he gets the snow down into the driveway at the entrance of the hotel, and then the snowplow will come in and do the hard work and clear that off. But out here on the roads here, so this is Summer, okay? This is Summer Street. This goes to a big roundabout, and then Union Station is down there where the trains are. The Amtrak will come in there. The plows just came through, and you may notice they did a good job of scraping right here, maybe getting down to a little bit of pavement now, but this is certainly getting snowpack too. And that's going to be an issue because the snowfall rates have been pretty intense. You're not really down to a lot of pavement, so cars that go over top of this pack it down, and it becomes really, really slick. What is the remaining? Here, by the way, here come more plows. These are smaller ones. These will get some of the side streets. The big plows are coming through on the main arteries. And notice they've all got big spreaders in the back. And so they'll put down salt, and that's good news. That's real good news. Gosh, they're just lining up one after another, after another, after another. Good to see that they're out here, 350 pieces of equipment here in Worcester to help with snow removal. This is not the only place, though, that is seeing the big-time snow. Other places through New England seeing it as well, including Nashua, New Hampshire. That's where we find meteorologist Chris Warren tonight.
Let's talk about snowfall accumulations, and there's going to be official reports. There's official ways to measure snow. However, what's official for you when you walk out your front door is whatever's there. And snowfall can accumulate in a lot of different ways. It can accumulate more when the wind is blowing in certain areas that trap the wind and trap the snow. And it also accumulates more on areas that receive it sooner. A lot of times the snow will melt first before there's enough snow or it gets cold enough to accumulate. So let's take a look at this. I marked this out right here. And in Nashua, we're expecting to get either 2 a foot or higher. And the bottom of this is 2 inches, 4 inches, the bottom 6, 8, 10, and then 12. And we're expecting to get this much, but maybe not right here. Looking at that in areas where it's grassy, where it was accumulating from the beginning. We're several hours into it right now, and look at this. Not much. However, I have another spot over here in the grassy area where it has been accumulating since pretty much the beginning. And another thing, too, as we look at this, there's 10. This is the top of a ruler going all the way down. It's more than 4 inches right here. And I also talked about the way the wind blows. Also, you're seeing it on the prevailing wind, or the predominant wind direction. You're seeing it here on the north side of the tree, the north and east side of the tree, the direction the wind has been blowing. So we're going to continue to watch it pile up. Some areas are going to get more than others. It just matters what the snow is landing on and where the wind is blowing it. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren in Nashua, New Hampshire.
All right, so you're watching us tonight before you go to bed. You're just trying to plan out your day for tomorrow, right? if your car's parked outside, here's what you have to plan on doing tomorrow morning is clearing off your car that's got maybe as much as a foot of snow on it. I mean, there's a car in here somewhere, right? And you're going to spend a lot of your morning cleaning your car off, getting it warmed up, getting it prepared to go out to work or wherever you may need to go tomorrow if you actually have to. Keep in mind, it's a real hazard if you don't clear it off the roof, too, because you go down the road, it blows off the back, potentially right into someone else's windshield. Keep that in mind. Again, another foot of snow coming our way tonight in many places. More on Winter Storm Quinn live from Massachusetts coming up.
About 350 pieces of equipment on the city streets.
We ask people to please stay off the roads if possible.
And a heavy wet snow falling for us. It is Winter Storm Quinn. You just saw the sights and sounds of Quinn. And I'll tell you this, I don't know if you can hear it right now. I'm a little bit out of breath. Why? I'm trying to dig out our vehicle in the parking lot here. It is a lot of work, friends. So be careful. Take a lot of frequent breaks if you can. Don't overexert yourself. It's not worth it. This is what we call heart attack snow because it is so heavy. Just one shovelful, is going to weigh 20 to 30 pounds. And then you're going to have to do that potentially in your driveway hundreds of times. You're literally going to be lifting thousands and thousands of pounds of snow. So take breaks, make sure you're hydrated, stretch a little, go back into the house, get a little warm, get something to drink, come back outside and tackle it again. The unfortunate thing is our snowfall rates this evening are pretty intense, and that means that if you're going to wait until morning, you may be shoveling a whole foot of snow at a time. So that certainly could be very, very dangerous. Earlier today, we actually had an opportunity to talk with the mayor of Worcester, Massachusetts, Joe Petty, talking about how well the city is prepared to handle big snowstorms like Winter Storm Quinn.
Our crews, they can handle it. They've been out 24/7 before, so and this will taper off around midnight and probably end about 7, maybe tomorrow morning. I'd stay off the roads tonight, stay in, enjoy your family, and the streets will be clear when you wake up tomorrow morning.
Yeah, just being off the roads tonight and letting the plows do their thing is great advice. And by the way, they do have, the parking bans in effect right now. So if you're parked on the street in a no park zone during a snow emergency, then you're going to get towed away. All right. Just unfortunately, that's just the way the game works, unfortunately, because the plows need to get to business. Hey, let's get over to Lowell, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. Kelly O'Hara is there. Kelly, I've been really impressed with what the snow has done there in the last couple of hours. Considering it wasn't that long ago, you were all rain, but not any longer.
No, from all rain to all snow, Mike. It is just cold, it's wet, it's awful. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. Of course, leave it to folks like you and me to be out in this weather. Now, this is the snow that they don't like. That means that means city officials, that means the governor, the mayor of Boston. They don't like it because why? This is that cold, wet, hard-packed snow. This is the type of stuff that can cause accidents when it freezes to the ground. That's right, beep, beep, woo! This is the type of snow that can cause power outages, that can hurt roads. Right over here, see a road closure. Down here, we're on Merrimack Street in Lowell. The police officer just turning off his blue lights there. That's been closed because of all the snow accumulation, how quickly it's been gathering here in this area. Remarkable stuff. This is what one of the meteorologists is calling silver dollar snow. It's that flakes. It's these big, fat flakes. They look like little pancakes, but you can't eat them because it's just frozen water, of course. Now, earlier we caught up with a fire chief here, Jeffrey Winwood, who was talking a lot about the dangers of the snow, and he has some things that people, should listen to tonight. Take a listen.
Our motor vehicle accidents will probably pick up, and we ask people to please stay off the roads if possible. If you if you have to drive, please keep your speeds down, because it's going to be very slippery later on tonight. And we're also concerned with power outages. If we get a heavy wet snow and the wind picks up, we could be getting a lot of power outages.
From the roads to power outages, and of course, no school tomorrow for kids not only in the city of Boston and out in Worcester, but also in Lowell. Lowell just declaring schools off. Please, if you don't have to be out, don't be out. The roads are not safe. You can just see all this snow right here, this hard, wet snow. This is the stuff that's going to really freeze and stick to the ground. And, you know, of course, we know winter is definitely not over yet. Of course, with more is Dr. Navarro back in the studio. Dr. Navarro, talk to us about the weather. What do we need to know?
Yeah, Kelly, I think we need to know there's a lot more snow that's still coming for places in Maine, New Hampshire, even in Massachusetts. This storm is far from over, and we also have some coastal impacts that are going to be coming into play here along the coast of Massachusetts. Right now, this is what the storm looks like on the visible satellite. Lots of dry air that's being wrapped around the back edge of that system, but take a look at those white and green colors. Very strong and persistent easterly flow here coming off the Atlantic, which is bringing in a ton of moisture onto the coast and will be contributing to that coastal flood, flood threat this evening, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Now, looking ahead at this radar here, still a lot of heavy bands of snowfall and precipitation coming down here. The northwest side of that low, again, remember the low is off the coast here. It's on the northwest side that we are primed for this type of banding, and we are seeing that heavy snow come down here all across the state of Massachusetts. Worcester, you can see heavy snow. Temperatures are below 30 there. Off to the north, along 495, we're seeing that snow come down as well. But notice on the southeastern edge out on the Cape, we're talking about heavy rain and also a potential for some flooding in that area. So a lot of impacts here still to come in Massachusetts. Now, here's what things are going to look like in time. We play this out. Boston, you're going to be receiving snow here for the next several hours because that low is going to pass right off to your east and head off to the north. But then areas in eastern New Hampshire, right along the coast, as well as the coast of Maine here, in and along I-95, we're still expecting potentially 12 to 18 inches of snow tonight. That is a lot of snow, my friends, to be coming down in this area. And again, the best news is this system is moving quickly, but it will have a big imprint before it actually leaves the coast tomorrow. So lots of impacts here still to come. We can take a look at the snowfall totals here all together to give you an idea of what to expect. Very heavy snow to come in New England. Those are the 12 to 18-inch colors there in the purple. Off to the west in places of Vermont and upstate New York, still 8 to 12 inches. Definitely a respectable amount of snow still to come. But it's the Boston area here. We have changed over to all snow as that front there has collapsed. That cold air has moved out to the coast. So 4 to 5 inches of snow still to come. And Mike, Worcester, Massachusetts is getting slammed pretty hard. You've got that band of snow that's set up right over you, and it's heavy and wet. I mean, what do those snowflakes actually feel like out there?
Yeah. Oh, it's a biting snow for sure, and they're big, and it's a little stinging when it hits you in the face for sure. But the 2 inches an hour with a 25+ mile per hour wind is tough. And some of the snow plows that have come by, the guys have said, boy, this is as tough as it gets, right? And one of them telling us they were just over on Route 9, and it's a parking lot. Haven't seen it that way in decades, he said, just cars sliding all over the place. So at home tonight is where you need to be. But Dr. Navarro, don't want you to go away. Want to ask you about the other aspect of this, because we know that coastal flooding could be yet another issue just like it was last week.
Yeah, Mike, we've had no break from this impact here. Winter Storm Riley brought tremendous impacts, but we've got that persistent onshore flow here with this system through the evening tonight. You take a look at the winds right now and notice they're coming from the northeast. Of course, we've got a nor'easter on our hands, no surprise there. But very high winds gusting into the 40-mile-per-hour range, and this easterly flow will persist on the Massachusetts coast all the way through tomorrow morning. Take a look here at this red, bright red and pink colors. That's the strong easterly flow heading into the coast. That is going to push all of that water back on shore. And with a high tide coming in tonight around 2, 3 a.m., we could be seeing that coastal flooding impact of water rushing over the roads, high waves on top of that, the same type of things we saw with Winter Storm Riley, but potentially not as strong as that one. But still, many of these areas are still hurting from that event. So this is a lot to be coming in on top of it. And again, it doesn't move out here until later tomorrow morning, potentially towards the afternoon as that storm storm finally lifts off to the north and east. So we've still got the flooding concerns here as well. Power outages are also a huge concern. Downed power lines in these water areas. Anytime you have a live wire that's in those water areas, extremely dangerous. So please don't go out wandering in the storm because there are many threats there that you might not be able to see. So here's a look at those coastal flood warnings all across Massachusetts. That's the area that we're watching very closely as that low lifts off to the east here. We've still got some as well down into the mid-Atlantic. But with the high tide coming in here, that's the big concern. And again, we've got the several impacts that were still being felt. Much more on Quinn coming up.
And good evening, and thank you for tuning in to the Weather Channel this evening during Storm Quinn. You were looking at video from Bridgewater, New Jersey, where you could see a tree falling on power lines. This is what officials all over the Northeast, all over the country have been warning about with this wet snow that's falling down. You can see a fire sparking there, a very, very dangerous situation indeed. Everyone should be cognizant. You should be aware tonight of situations like this outside of your home. So if you're home right now, go out, take a look out the window, make sure there's no trees falling on your power lines, because you want to make sure that you and your family, of course, are very, very safe. We are here live in Lowell, Massachusetts, a little over 30 miles northwest of the city of Boston, where we are really getting belted by all of this snow falling. We could get anywhere from a half of a foot all the way to over a foot. We still don't know. It's because we're in this little sweet spot area. But let me tell you, man, oh man, is this snow heavy. Take a look. This is the snow that we're warning about. This is that sticky, sticky, wet snow right here. I'm clearing off the trash barrel here in downtown Lowell. This is the stuff that's going to stick to the power lines. This is the stuff that makes one mean snowball. Don't throw it at your brother or sister if you're still up, you're watching this, because school is canceled tomorrow. Speaking of school cancellations, lots of them all over the Northeast. Here in Lowell, they just canceled school for tomorrow, and they're really running up against too many snow days for this year. In Boston, they canceled school. In Worcester, all over, because of all this heavy snow that's falling right here. Unbelievable stuff. You can see all the crews hard at work clearing the sidewalks right over here. They're clearing the front of City Hall right over here in Lowell. And there you go, that's City Hall. Lowell's an old historic mill town, northwest again of Boston. It's been around a long time. There are mills everywhere right next to the Merrimack River, and boy, being next to the river, not a good place for this snowfall, because as you can see, it is really, really blowing hard right next to the waterways, and it's not fun snow, let me tell you. Earlier, we talked to the fire chief for quite some time. Nice guy. He's also the head of the emergency management. He said his biggest concern outside of people driving on the roadways to making sure they're safe and outside of power outages, his major concern also is making sure this snow that's all falling, this heavy, heavy snow, stays away from the vents outside of your home. A lot of new homes, he said, only have their vents a few feet off the ground, and this is the type of snow that piles up, and ooh, you can feel it's coming in my face right here. This is the type of snow that really falls hard and fast, and it can really pile up next to your house and create a toxic situation when that carbon monoxide air builds up. So if you're up right now, go outside right now, check around your house, make sure all your vents are clear, because man, it is a heavy, heavy snow, and it's not going to let up anytime soon. You can see this entire downtown just completely blanketed with snowfall. About 15-20 minutes ago, police had to shut down that road down there due to some sort of minor accident because of all the snow that has piled up so quickly. It is a slippery, slippery snow. Not fun to be out in this tonight. Earlier, we were wondering, is the snow even going to fall? Because it was that freezing rain for hours. And of course, it started, I spoke to way too soon. It started falling, and well, it hasn't stopped. It's not going to stop anytime soon at all. I mean, just I can't believe people are driving this right now. And people aren't just going like 5 miles an hour. They're going like 10, 15 miles an hour. So it's not a great time to be driving. But, you know, talking to us, about a lot more about what's expected in the next day or so is meteorologist Mark Elliott. And Mark, I haven't spoken to you in a little while. Congratulations, by the way, on your new baby. I just wanted to say that before you talk about the weather. So
thank you.
I'm going to send it back to you.
One way to bring a new dad a smile is to bring up the newborn at home. Kelly, thanks so much. Try to stay warm out there. You know, so many of you have been dealing with epic snow today. In fact, take a listen to this. That is not a plow going by. A lot of you were saying, oh man, the plows are out early with this storm. No, that was the thunderstorm beginning in Pennsylvania. Winter storm Quinn slamming through. Snowfall rates just unbelievable with this storm system. We're seeing trees down, power lines down, lots of you without power tonight because of this very thing. And it is a heavy, dangerous snow at that, right? When you pile up this snow, it is just an unbelievable amount of weight on your home. Quickly here to get you to what we know now, 800,000 customers without power. State of emergency continues in New Jersey. No school in Boston, as almost 34 million of you are under winter storm warnings. Winter storm Quinn has obviously already created a lot of havoc for the East Coast.
And the heavy snow and winds are causing problems for drivers and crews trying to fix those power outages. Our storm tracker Brian Davidson joins us live now on the phone. And Brian, incredible night. We've seen so many reports of downed trees. We're taking a look at your camera here. Looks like you're in Wayne, New Jersey. Give us a sense of what you're looking at.
Actually, they're about ready to cut it apart now. I'm hearing a chainsaw going. I was able to, the neighbor gave me a tape measure. The tree is about 10 to 15 inches in diameter, so it's a pretty good-sized tree.
Can you tell if power is still on across this area? I mean, is there a risk that they're about to cut into a tree that is touching live wires?
The power, in this area, the power is on. Earlier, I saw a tree on a power line. The power line was actually on fire. Police had to show up. They called it in, and they turned the power off remotely. That's the only fire risk that I knew of, but that was a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, that was my next question. We've seen the reports and the images of those power lines sparking fires. That's the only one you've seen so far?
That I know of. I heard there was a few other fires, but that's the only fire I knew about.
Give us a sense of the general conditions. You've been out there traveling through much of the day. How are the roads? How are the people reacting to this storm?
The roads right now are actually pretty fine. When the snow was actually falling, you almost needed like a tom-tom from Star Wars to get through the snow. It was like Hoth just trying to get through the snow. But now I've seen at least 100, 200 snowplows. And the road I'm on now is easy to drive on. The same road an hour or two ago, it was impossible to drive.
Yeah. About how much snow do you think you've gotten there in this part of New Jersey?
Right at my location, I was able to measure 16 inches.
Wow, that's a good total. I think I saw some law enforcement showing up in front. Is that they're just checking on that tree, maybe making sure that the people are safe?
Yes, sir. He actually just showed up. I think he's just making sure everything's okay. I met a few other law enforcement tonight. They said they've been up since 4 a.m. Everyone I've talked to has been very friendly.
It's going to be a busy night for all the residents that are trying to clean up, plus the law enforcement, of course. Tip of the hat to all of them. First responders, they don't stop just because it's snowing. And we're going to check back in with you, Brian, in about an hour and see how all of that turned out. But for now, we want you to know what's happening with this storm and what might still be to come. So, Dr. Navarro, unbelievable views from this storm just on kind of our radar imagery, our satellite imagery today as well.
Yeah, and Mark, what's really fascinating to me is just how much dark blue is showing up on this radar. Typically, we have maybe 1, 2 heavy bands that set up. The dark blue represents the heavy snow. There's a lot coming in with that persistent moisture stream here coming off the Atlantic. So really, truly exceptional storm, very mighty, very powerful. There's the heavy snow coming down in areas of Massachusetts, as well as heavy rain here out towards the coast. But this is not the only storm we're going to be watching, which is unfathomable to me to think about. We could be talking about back-to-back nor'easters here.
People are going to build that white flag out of snow and then start waving it at us here at the Weather Channel because we get it. It's getting late in the season and people are finally ready for spring.
Yeah.
We've got 1.5 feet of snow to come for tonight across northern New England and then more.
So if you're tired, hang on because we're not quite out of this yet. We've got this deep trough that's going to be moving in and another storm system here that's going to move through the southeast and eventually out towards the coast. Right now, it's out over the west coast. But watch those 2 circle bubbles there. There's the energy associated with those systems. These 2 are going to combine and come together, and then it's going to stay together. It's going to that imprint of the energy is going to actually travel all the way down here towards the east coast. Very big dip in the jet stream, and then as it swings out over the ocean, that's when our storm is really going to take shape here in this area. And Mark, this this could be bringing, again, that wind, the rain, and the snow to these areas that already have 12 to 18 inches.
But it's also a much more southerly track. And so we're talking about snow that goes for the spine of the Appalachians into Virginia. And then we get off the East Coast to the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. And this one, too, has trouble getting out of here. Once it forms, it's there for a while.
Yeah, we're seeing that situation play out again like we did with Riley just last week here. But the good news is, I will say good news, the ECMWF has taken this one way out the coast right now. But we're looking several days ahead of time, so this can change. And models are often not right about the exact track of the storm here this far out. The GFS model, notice, brings this a lot closer to the coast. So notice that snowfall imprint here is much larger on the East Coast. So this is one to watch for sure, because this is going to be impacting the weekend, the early part of the week. Here's the snow that Winter Storm Quinn is putting down. Watch the snow we're bringing in on top of that. Lots of purple and pink colors here lighting up over New England. This could cause even more power outages.
A lot to follow. We'll watch each model run and give you an update as we've kind of fine-tuned that forecast. More on Winter Storm Quinn coming up.
Winter Storm Quinn, a big-time nor'easter producing big-time snow. And we've got you covered tonight, every angle you could possibly want, with our experts in the field, our experts in the studio, keeping you apprised of what is happening every step of the way. I'm meteorologist Mike Bettis in Worcester, Massachusetts. We have Kelly O'Hara. She tonight is in Lowell, Massachusetts. Meteorologist Chris Warren, he's in Nashua, New Hampshire. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll be speaking with our Dr. Erica Navarro, walking you through the radar, showing you what is happening with the heaviest of bands. But numerous areas we're following for you tonight, from Philadelphia to New York to Wayne, New Jersey. All these places getting absolutely smashed with snow tonight, and more to come, especially as this thing rolls its way through northern New England. Glad you could be with us tonight for our extended coverage. A long way to go before this thing is over, folks. Let's show you what's happening here in Worcester tonight. The snow just keeps piling up, right? So behind us, Union Station, you can finally see it, maybe just a little bit lighter snowfall rates now than what they were prior. And actually, in the roundabout there, the plows have come through numerous times now and put down some salt, so you can actually see some pavement now, which is a good thing. Police on patrol, not a ton of cars. A lot of them are four-wheel drive or they're all-wheel drive tonight that are trying to make their way through the streets this evening. But there is that parking ban in effect. What that means is if your car's on the street in designated areas where plows need to get through, you have to get your car off the street or it will be towed. Then you've got to go to the impound lot to pick it up because they've got to get those cars off the street so the plows can get through. 350 pieces of equipment out here in Worcester tonight to clear off the snow. And by the way, heard from one of the snowplow drivers that Route 9 at times has been a parking lot tonight with cars sliding all over the place because of the compacted snow with the big-time snowfall rates we've had that have been 2+ inches per hour. Worcester schools are closed tomorrow, so kids, you get a second day in a row off. Good deal there, but they have to be off. The mayor telling us they need about 7 hours prep time from the time the snow ends to get the schools open, from making sure the heat works to clearing off the sidewalks, getting the buses prepped, and it likely won't meet that 7-hour criteria time for them to get the schools operational tomorrow. So schools are indeed closed now. Another thing is that the train station, by the way, has been Amtrak. We've seen a couple of different trains. There's actually a freight train right now. So trains are operating this evening, and I think that's a good thing. MBTA in Boston operating a normal schedule as of now. That could potentially change, but trains delays, minor delays for various reasons. Airports have been heavily impacted today because of the snow. Literally thousands of flights in and out of the Northeast have been canceled today. So what a lot of the airlines are doing is they're waiving the rebooking fees. So what you can do, because it's a natural event, you can rebook at no fee. You just have to call your air carrier or try online to rebook to another time. Likely by sometime tomorrow they'll start resuming a more normal schedule, and certainly by Friday they should be up to speed as the snow is going to wrap up for us tonight. All right. What's going on in other places? Let's take you over to Lowell, Massachusetts tonight. A little bit closer to Boston, a little bit farther east of here, where the snowfall rates have also been pretty intense. Kelly O'Hara is there tonight. Kelly, what was interesting about your weather today? You're a little bit closer to the ocean, right? So you can get a little bit of modifying effect with an east wind off the ocean. You stayed in rain a little bit longer, but once it got cold enough, boy, you're really maximizing the snow now.
Amen. You are absolutely 110% right about that. The snow just will not let up. As you can see, these flakes are really coming down. We are right next to the Merrimack River right here. We are in Mill City, Lowell, Massachusetts, about 30 or so miles northwest of Boston, in a historic mill town known by many for its manufacturing roots. But as you can see today, the big story here is all of this heavy, heavy snow that is falling. This is the snow that can cause accidents, bring down power lines. You can see firefighters right now responding to an emergency here on Merrimack Street. They've been out clearing these roads to make sure that these guys can get to where they need to go safely. Earlier, we spoke to the fire chief. He said their guys are going to be out responding tonight to many, situations. He said hopefully that no one would get hurt, but he said, please, the important thing to remind, of course, stay off these roads. Be aware of power lines. And something else the fire chief warned us about is deadly effects of carbon monoxide. Take a listen.
Some of the new heating systems have direct vents that are about 3 feet off the ground, and if we do get a big snow buildup, it can block your vent, and the fumes from your heater can back up into your house and cause problems with carbon monoxide. It's a silent, deadly killer.
Some great advice there from the fire chief, who's also the boss of emergency management in the city. But here in downtown Lowell, as you can see, it looks like a postcard. Just look at the way that those trees are just gripping the snow. It is just hugging that cold, wet snow, and then the wind is just rocking that tree back and forth. That's what your power lines are going to look like tonight. So you know what? Go outside, peer out the window, make sure your power lines are okay. There's no trees that have fallen on. And of course, make sure those vents are clear. But you know, this snow is going to be falling pretty heavy all night long. And tomorrow, and here with more on that, of course, is our weather expert, Dr. Navarro. Hey, Dr. Navarro, what's in store? What should we expect?
Yeah, hey, Kelly. We still be expecting at least another foot of snow in some areas as this storm lifts off to the north and east. We could be seeing very intense snowfall rates here persisting throughout the evening. And here's what has already occurred. Double-digit snowfall totals across New England and the mid-Atlantic. We've had over 2 feet of snow in New York, and in northern Jersey, we are just shy of 2 feet. This is a major snowstorm for these areas. A lot of snow to come down with one system. On the radar right now, we're watching two very persistent bands that have been here in place for several hours. One that's over western Massachusetts, western Connecticut, and in the Berkshires up in Vermont. Absolutely getting slammed with some snow there with 6-inch snowfall rates per hour. I mean, that's just incredible. And the other one here, of course, is in eastern Massachusetts as well as Rhode Island. Of course, where Mike Bettis and Kelly O'Hara are, we're seeing those very heavy snowfall rates still coming down. Temperatures are just above freezing, but we've had a lot of upward motion in the atmosphere that has helped to contribute to a lot of cooling on this side of the system, just enough that we saw that heavy snow come down. So they're just right on the boundary that we're seeing that snowfall really stick and accumulate in these areas, and it's going to stay that way for the next several hours. The other issue, of course, is going to be the visibility that's dropping very consistently with these heavy snowfall rates. You can see here in Worcester, we're down to a half a mile. North of that, things are a little bit better as we head into New Hampshire, but this is going to be an issue because we could be seeing very significant or very reduced visibilities on the roadways this evening, so please don't travel if you don't have to by any means. If we time this out for you, watch that center of circulation here lift off to the north and east. Boston's going to stay in the snow through the evening tonight into the very early hours of the morning, but next in line is Maine and the eastern part of New Hampshire, 12 to 18 inches potentially still to come. Much more on Quinn coming up.
And good evening. Thank you for tuning in to the Weather Channel. You're looking at live pictures of the city of Boston. You can see the snow is really coming down along with that wind gusts as high as 40 miles per hour. Nothing is worse than that heavy wind with some heavy snow. Does not make a good combination, of course, because that is ripe for power outages. Something, of course, people do not want. And, you know, this whole region has gotten really walloped by snow in the last week or so. First Storm Riley and now Storm Quinn. We are here in the city of Lowell, Mill City, a historic manufacturing city up on the Merrimack River. And you can see the crews are out plowing the roads right now as we speak, trying to get all this heavy wet snow off of the ground. And you can understand why this is not good conditions for anyone to drive in. These guys are going to be going for what? 12, 18 hours straight to try to clear the roads. There are at least 200 pieces of equipment, we're told, by one of the DPW guys earlier, Dave Diamond. He was saying that, you know, they've got these crews out all night long, salting, sanding, plowing the roads again and again. That's because of the rapid rate of the snow that's coming down. It's coming down several inches an hour. Not a good situation. Another situation that doesn't go then. Look at that power line right there. My audio tech, Chris, just pointed out. Look at that power line. That is the power line. That is what we were talking about with this heavy, heavy snow. You can see it is just being weighed down right there along with those trees. Just look at the way the snow is like encapsulating it, encasing it right there. And that is what the big concern is right now. Obviously the roads, but obviously as well as the power lines. This is something that is going to be a major issue in the area going forth in the next 12 to 18 hours. So if you're home right now watching, look out your window, make sure to say, hey, how are the power lines faring around my house and my street? Because another major issue is when these trees topple and they fall on the power lines, that can cause a fire as well. So, you know, so many things to think about. Obviously, when these major storms hit, you always want to make sure you're careful, and especially when you're safe at home, because that's when sometimes the real danger can happen. But of course, we're going to send it from here in the city of Lowell into the studio to Dr. Navarro, who's going to talk to us a lot more about what we need to expect.
Yeah, and I'm going to take it from here, Kelly. Thanks so much. Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, Mark, I apologize.
I've been called worse. It's quite all right. It's cold out there, I understand. Here's the thing. It's not just a Massachusetts story. A lot of people in New York have seen some big snowfall totals as well. This is near Newburgh. Whiteout conditions on the New York Thruway. The New York Department of Transportation tonight really working quite hard to get this thing going. So that is, I mean, they're really advising everyone to stay off the roads, and you can see why. They need those clear so that they can get all of those basically lanes cleared, so you can see the lines even. And my goodness. Let's talk a little bit about what else we have going on, including the power outages. My goodness, about 800,000 of you without power right now. As many as 6 people killed from Winter Storm Quinn already. New Jersey State Police saying 506 accidents already reported today, so not everyone was off those roads, as about 33.6 million of you are under winter storm warnings. You look in the Boston area, and basically the snow is going to be going sideways. We've seen that tower cam where it looks like the snowflakes are floating at times because of the wind. That's because right now you're gusting over 40 miles per hour, and those gusts could get even a little bit stronger over the next 2, 3, 4 hours before they finally start to ease up a bit. And then you look further north. You look at Portland. Your story is just beginning, right? The snow will be heavy right on through the overnight, maybe easing up by the afternoon hours of Thursday. But you put all that together before you're done, another 12 to 18 inches across the Portland area. We'll be right back. Coverage continues here. Winter Storm Quinn, and look at this. Off in the distance, you see how low those power lines go? That's because there's a giant tree across the lines, basically brought the lines all the way down to the ground. There are rescue, first responders on the scene, blocking the road, making sure nobody touches this line. But as you look off in the distance, you can see the streetlights are on. These are live wires, people. They did not snap, and thus there is power running through there and trees running across them. Kind of a ripe situation for arcing, for sparks to happen, for fires to happen in the middle of this kind of snowy scene. You look off in the distance, there is a little bit of that kind of plume of smoke that may be exhaust from some of the, the first responders and some of the cars that are there. They're zooming in on it. You can see there are cars on the other side of this tree. So hopefully that is exhaust and not flame starting, because that would turn this into a much more dangerous situation. We have seen a couple of the first responders kind of walking around this, kind of surveying everything and blocking off the road. So no, immediate danger to anybody. But again, you got to treat these lines as if they're live. If someone is to touch the wrong spot, you could easily have an awful situation on your hands. So whether this is outside your area or you've got a similar situation in the front of your driveway, make sure you treat all these power lines as if they are live tonight. This is just one of those situations you got to be real careful of. This is one of those untold dangers. Trees falling, responsible for tens of deaths at this point from between this storm and Riley. Let's bring in Brian Davidson. He's the storm tracker looking at this. And Brian, what can you tell us? How many people are out here trying to break, to break up this tree or to block up the road? What are you seeing?
Sorry, I just...
Oh, I'm seeing fire right now. Are you seeing that too?
Popped. Yeah, no, I was coming down the road, and I saw the trees across the power lines. I'm like, okay, but I've seen that all night, and I heard a buzzing. And just now, I don't know if you saw it on video.
Yeah, we saw it too.
But it exploded.
Yeah, so we are seeing some of that arcing and some of that power turning into flames at times. Occasionally when we kind of look through the tree, there's a lot of movement on the other side. Can you tell what's going on over there? Is that just, first responders?
Yeah, they didn't know about it, so I came across it. I saw the power lines, trees across the power lines. I heard it buzzing, immediately knew it was live. I called 911, explained where I was. They sent a police officer was the first to arrive, and he's calling the fire department. And in a little bit, I'm going to have to get out of here because the fire is going to be coming behind me.
Yeah, that's the one way in, right, at this point, because the road is blocked. Now,
right.
You can see the power is on still. You got those lights behind you. You got to hope that they're going to be calling into the power company and shutting down power. So tell everyone where you are, where people should prepare for not having power for a bit as this gets cleaned up.
I'm not from this area, but I do know I'm just southwest of Oakland, New Jersey, and I'm on Route 202.
Yeah, and so we saw that big spark. Any more flame that you can see from your vantage point? It's a little bit tough from here through the monitors.
No, not at this location. I saw a fire earlier at a different location, but that explosion was the first sign of it actually trying to catch fire.
Now, again, we're looking at it through the monitors. You're there. How wide a road is this? How many people would be normally traveling through here kind of thing? Is this like a two-lane road? Is this a major intersection? What are you looking at?
This is basically the main connection between the two towns. I believe it's with all the snow, it's kind of hard to tell, but I believe it's a two-lane road. A neighbor back behind me said this is always busy, and he said it's weird having it being this dead.
And, Brian, we only have about 25 seconds left, so feel free to just kind of pan the camera around, give us the view, and then we're going to just tell you to stay safe and get out of the way of those first responders, because we know the fire department is going to be coming in. We know that there are police on the scene blocking this road as a tree, yet another tree, right, has come down on live wires. We saw some sparks and some arcing and even some flames. So everyone stay safe tonight, as falling trees will continue to be a big factor with this heavy, wet snow. We'll be right back.
We're going to have about 350 pieces of equipment on the city streets.
We ask people to please stay off the roads if possible.
And thanks for staying with us here for the Weather Channel's continuing coverage of Winter Storm Quinn. I'm meteorologist Mike Bettis in Worcester, Massachusetts. Our team's spread out tonight covering the storm for you in multiple locations. And our Dr. Navarro back at the Weather Channel studio, keeping you apprised of what's happening on the radar this evening. Pretty intense snowfall rates tonight, gusty winds. Not a great night for travel. Let's just put it simply that way, okay? One thing we've been doing is we've been noticing behind us the visibility and how we've been tracking it is the Telegram and Gazette building behind us there. At times you couldn't see the lighted sign at the top of the building, and so that showed us that the snowfall rates are pretty intense. You can finally now see the sign on the top of the building, so that's telling us the snow might be backing off just a little bit right now, but yeah, potentially the damage is already done. Snowplow drivers have come along. One told us there are limbs down everywhere. He said it's tough getting around some of the neighborhoods because branches are falling off of trees. Look how heavy the snow is weighing down the tree behind me here. So that's just a little indication. You know, you get any tree that's weakened at all, may have dead branches on it. It gets weighted down with this really wet snow, gets any gust of wind, and down come those branches, potentially down come power lines as well. About 800,000 customers now across about 15 states are without power. This is Summer Street. This is one of the bigger thoroughfares here through Worcester, goes down to the roundabout, and then Union Station right there where the train station is. It's compacted snow on the streets right now. We talked with the mayor of Worcester a little while ago, updating us on how they're prepared for this storm.
Our crews, they can handle it. They've been out 24/7 before, so and this will taper off around midnight and probably end about 7, maybe tomorrow morning. I'd stay off the roads tonight, stay in, enjoy your family, and the streets will be clear when you wake up tomorrow morning.
You know, the best thing to do truly is just stay home this evening. It's like, you know, the kids don't have school tomorrow, so maybe they're staying up late tonight. You know, you're doing some Netflix or something like that tonight, having some pizza and some milkshakes. I think that sounds like a much better time than being out on the streets tonight, right? Or preparing for your morning tomorrow, which could be a really treacherous travel morning. Hey, let's check in Lowell, Massachusetts with Kelly O'Hara. She's monitoring the situation there. I know it is like a Norman Rockwell painting there. You know, what's going on in Lowell, just so pretty to watch, but can cause so many headaches, unfortunately, Kelly.
Amen. It's gorgeous. It looks like a postcard up here in Mill City, an old historic mill town. But let me tell you, it is not pretty outside on these roads. Here with more, who's joined us again. Thank you so much from DPW, Dave Diamond. Dave, talk to us about the roads. You said they are getting bad right now.
Well, they're slick. It's getting packed down because the snow is so heavy. The plows are going, but it's coming so fast, it's hard to keep them clear. We're using salt. Salt's not working too much, but
how come the salt's not working? I thought that's like
heavy wet snow. It's
really
dense. It's very dense.
Now you said this is an issue. See this power line, this tree that we were talking about. You said that's a major issue for you right now on the roads.
The trees got a lot of weight on them, and the power wires do also. We've had numerous calls of branches broke. No full trees yet, but if it keeps coming, there will be trees down also.
So that's so interesting. The sand, you're putting sand or salt out?
Salt.
The salt is not working because this snow is so dense and wet and hard packed.
It's working to a point, but it's just so fast it's coming down. It's not getting a chance, and there's no traffic, not as much traffic as there would be in rush hour. So it will all add up after it's over. Once we clear it and salt it, it'll work.
Oh, and here comes some of your plows right now down Merrimack Street. These guys, how many hours are these men and women working right now for you on DPW?
Well, they'll work till it's over, till we're not plowing anymore.
But the snow's not going to let up till what, morning time now? Late morning?
Well, hopefully I'll be able to go home tomorrow at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, my goodness.
If I'm lucky, you know.
And how do you guys stay awake?
Well, you kind of get it in. You get used to it after a while. It's not pleasant, but, you know, you got to deal with it. You got to bear with it.
And do you guys, is there like a local coffee shop that stays open for you guys?
Oh, we have Dunkin' Donuts. We have coffee at the shop. You know, if the guys need 20 minutes to catch a cat nap, we give them what they need.
And I got to ask you, what's the worst situation you've ever seen a plow in? Is this one of them? This type of recipe for disaster with all this hard, wet, packed snow and the salt not really working?
Well, it's something, but we've had a lot worse.
Okay.
You know? We've had much worse than this.
Well, Dave, you're a hardy New Englander, so that's why the very tall and impressive Dave Diamond from DPW here in the city of Lowell, thank you so much for joining us. Please stay safe, please stay awake, and please stay warm. Again, warning us a lot of the dangers, not only here on the roads here in the city of Lowell, but all over in the Northeast with this hard-packed, wet snow. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate your time. So there you go. That is what he is warning us about. Please stay off the roads. Please be aware, because this is now the danger. These the snow caking onto those power lines and those trees. That's what's coming down, and they are concerned, obviously, about the roads and power outages, of course, as we move forward, as we are getting deeper and deeper into the storm. And, of course, here with more is Dr. Navarro.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kelly. We've got a lot more still to come with this system because we are not out of the woods yet in terms of the impacts. Heavy snow, wind, and potentially some coastal issues tonight as this storm makes its way off to the north and east. And here's a look at what it looks like on the satellite right now. And what I'm watching here, all this cloud cover to the east, this is a very persistent east wind that's coming into the coast of Massachusetts right now, bringing a lot of moisture into the area. That's fueling the heavy snow, but that also could set us up for those coastal issues this evening as that high tide moves in tonight. First, about the snow, again, we're seeing some incredible banding with this system here. Remember, the low is off here, so on the northwest side of that system, notice all those dark blue colors. That's where we're seeing the heaviest snow come down. And taking a look at the latest totals here. Well, first, here's a look at those conditions. But if we look at the totals, the impacts this band has had, 24 inches of snow here in the very northwestern part of Massachusetts. 2 feet, just incredible. And now over near Worcester, Massachusetts, we're up near 9 inches, at least of this report. It could even be higher than that at this point, based on when that report was taken this evening. But this system is still going to be remaining in the area for the next several hours. So Boston, you could be seeing some more snow here to add to those totals. Heavy rain as well, potentially out towards the coast. But next in line is going to be the eastern and coastal areas of New Hampshire, as well as the coast of Maine. We're going to be seeing some heavy rain move in there in the very early hours tomorrow morning, and then into the afternoon. Potentially 12 to 18 inches of snow still to come for areas in New Hampshire and Maine as that snow comes in. So right now I want to send it back out to the field to Worcester, Massachusetts, where Mike Bettis is. And Mike, again, I'm looking at those reports and I'm seeing 9 inches, but you could be getting several more inches on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think a lot of people here were really questioning whether or not that foot forecast was really going to verify, especially when, you know, about 5 hours ago, we didn't even have any snow on the ground. They're like, come on, meteorologists, are you for real? Hey, look, it looks like it's going to happen now. So, you know, there was a lot of truth and some pretty good confidence in that forecast. Hey, Dr. Navarro, want to ask you about the other component to this, all right? We know we've got coastal issues with flooding that could happen really from New England all the way down to maybe the tidewater of Virginia. Walk us through what you think might happen in certain places tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. With that east wind that I mentioned, the north and east component of the wind here, that's what's going to set us up for some issues. Here's a look at the wind right now, and notice those arrows that are coming into the coast. That is the onshore flow here in that areas, which is going to push that water up and over potentially the streets and any of the low-lying areas in that region as the high tide comes in this evening. This east wind is going to persist throughout the night. Notice those pink and red colors that I've highlighted here. Those are just going to stay positioned straight at the coast all the way through tomorrow morning. So that's why we could be seeing those issues. But the good news is this storm is lifting out quickly. Very different from the storm we just had this past weekend. But many areas are still impacted because of Winter Storm Riley. And you can look at all of these. The last 8 or 9 gauges here in Boston have shown above flood stage. So lots more impacts still to come with Quinn. Stay with us.
And good evening from Lowell, Massachusetts, where the snow is coming down and it's filling up the street. Let me tell you, it looks like a postcard. It's absolutely beautiful around here, but it's not that nice. It is cold, it is wet, and the snow is unrelenting. As you can see, the plows are out right now trying to get these roads clear, and they're going to be working straight on through till tomorrow afternoon because it's a lot of work to clear this heavy, heavy snow-packed, wet snow. We were told just by DPW a few minutes ago that salt is not working on these roads. Really, that's because it's so wet and heavy. Another major issue. Look at that. Look at the tree branches. Look at that power line right there. It is hanging down because of that heavy, heavy wet snow. Big issue also outside of the roadways, power outages. Lots of concerns. If you're home right now, make sure the vents around your home are clear so you don't have any sort of carbon monoxide issue. There are so many different dangers and concerns with this type of snow. And of course, here to talk to us a lot more about that is meteorologist Mark Elliott. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Kelly. While I got you, I want to ask you something. You know, you showed us, I think it was about 45 minutes ago, that garbage can that was right next to you, and you scraped the top off of it. I was just wondering how much more snow is on top of that thing now. It gives us an estimate as to kind of the snowfall rates out there.
Look at this. Look how hard it is to move off. Look at that. That's how wet and heavy the snow is on top of this garbage can.
I mean, that looked like an inch, maybe an inch and a half in what, an hour?
Off the snow here pretty regularly, and look how quickly and heavy this snow accumulates. Just unbelievable stuff. This is all over the roads. You do not want to be driving if you don't have to. And you know, you want to let these plows get on the roads and do what they need to do to make sure it's safe. That's why, of course, they've called off schools here in Lowell. They've called off schools in the city of Boston and also out in Worcester. They're calling off schools all over the place because they want people to stay off these roads and be safe, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that snowfall rate is such a huge part of the story. The plows are having a hard time keeping up. It's like as soon as they plow a road, you wait half an hour, there's an inch and a half of snow on it again.
Absolutely. Look at this. This sidewalk right here, Mark, has been cleared several times. You can see they just cleared it a little while ago. Hello over there. But it was already clear. And then look how quickly the snow falls. I mean, that looks like a half an inch to an inch of snow right there. And this guy's been on here clearing the sidewalks all evening, and it just keeps on going and going and going. This is not letting up anytime soon.
It's a huge part of the story. Kelly, thanks so much for reporting for us out there. Let's face it, you get even higher snowfall rates when you wind up in the bands and the thunderstorm bands like earlier today. Listen to this. You know, people think they're inside. They're like, oh, there's the plow finally going by. No, that rumble so out of place when it's snowing is the thunder snow. This happened to be in Pennsylvania as Winter Storm Quinn moved through. But my goodness, those kind of small-scale features are the ones that are, A, so hard to predict, and B, give you the crazy snowfall rates. We saw reports anywhere from 2 to even as much as 6 inches of snow per hour. That's what the plows are dealing with tonight. Let's get you caught up with what else we know right now. Sad news to report is that the storm has killed another person. A tree falling on them in Rockland County, New York. So that brings the death toll to 6. Trees falling on power lines is a huge part of the story. 800,000 customers without power tonight, and that number is expected to grow. New Jersey State Police saying they responded to over 500 accidents, and there's still 33.6 million of you under winter storm warnings. We keep talking about this heavy, wet, kind of cement snow, and there is a lot of weight to that, whether you're shoveling it, and that's a danger on its own, or if it's on your roof. Let's take an average home, about 1,000 square foot roof. On average, weight of snow per cubic foot is about 5 pounds. So if there's 2.5 feet of snow on your house, which there might be when all is said and done in northern New England, that's like putting 50 refrigerators on your roof. And what we're going to do here is increase that snow pile just a little bit further. 3.5 feet of snow starts to equal grand pianos, adding up to about 17 of them on your roof. And if you were to be in a place that had this heavy, compacted, wet, kind of water-laden snow that was up to about 5.5 feet on your roof, that 1,000 square foot roof, that would equal a semi-truck up there. That's a lot of weight, and it's why we tell you that you got to get that off when you can. We'll be right back. We've been showing you the scenes. Winter Storm Quinn causing a lot of havoc on the East Coast tonight.
Yeah, the heavy snow and the winds are causing lots of problems for drivers and the crews that are trying to fix those problems caused by the power outages. We've got our storm tracker, Brian Davidson, who's joining us on the phone again. He was with us last hour, and now he's here again. Brian, we've seen tons of impacts, and now it looks like we might have a tractor-trailer that's off the road here?
Yes, this is a pretty steep hill going up. Actually, this is the second time I've seen the same truck. He was stuck in an intersection when it was really coming down, and I guess he tried to come up this hill, and he's dug in pretty well. He won't be able to get out till tomorrow.
And that's part of the story when you have either cars parked on the roads or cars that gave up along their drive home. The plows can't come through and clear the road. Is there any road that is passable on the side of that vehicle?
Yeah, this is a 2-lane road, but it's down to 1, and there's no police officer or anyone directing traffic, so it's kind of a flash your lights, it's your turn to go type of gesture. And when you're talking about abandoned cars, I passed an abandoned car behind me, and it's getting towed right now.
Yeah, it's just so many impacts. I mean, you reach a steep hill, even though those roads might look clear, you are still having those impacts. It's hard to get up. I mean, are you seeing a lot of people that are still trying to make it up this hill?
Yes, and I try to go, and at the far end, it's blocked by live power lines. And I was there when they exploded, and it startled me, but there was a box truck that was trying to go up the same hill, and I flagged him, say, hey, you can't go up that hill. And he asked me for his help, and he had to back all the way and back down because he couldn't turn around because it was a narrow road.
Wow, that is just one more area that is really feeling it. Brian Davidson, thanks so much for the reports. Stay safe out there tonight, that's for sure. Difficult night for all the travelers across the Northeast. If you're already home and you know you have power and you're somewhere safe, there's a little snow science you can get into tonight. I want to show you these really cool images of the snow. Something you can do that if you know you have a place to be warm afterwards. Look at this. Impressions in the snow made with your own face. This sent in by a full caveat friend of mine and friend of the show, Natalie Martin, out there in Frenchtown, New Jersey. Different views of her own face. And look, they look like they're 3D, right? They look like they're coming out at you. This is incredible. And she actually shows us how to make these.
And you see I've got some different facial expressions. And come back again, because I want to show you. They're not actually 3D, but they kind of look like that on video. But see, I can put my hand inside. The snow is changing now, so it won't come out as crisp, but I'll do one more for you live here. Ready? All right.
So incredible to me, like that your brain fills it in, the optical illusion of the face imprint, turns it around, your eyes complete the picture.
Yeah.
It looks like a 3D, mold in the snow, and it's just your face. It is a concave, snow imprint. Something you can, teach the kids, that your brain can play these tricks on you. And it has to be snowing and fresh snow, and then it's cold, so you want to be able to get somewhere warm and safe.
Right.
But what a cool little experiment to do out there.
I couldn't believe it. I thought that was wax. I thought that was like a wax mask. That's unbelievable.
So thanks for sending that in, and we'll talk to you after the show. In any case, there's still a lot more to go with this storm.
Yeah, a lot more still coming. We're seeing this moisture source here, this persistent easterly flow that's coming in off the Atlantic. Look at this heavy banding that's setting up here. We've been talking about this for several hours. It has not moved in a lot of those places, so very heavy high totals that are going to come out of this. We're seeing places upwards of 2 feet because of that banding, and it's persisting. Worcester, Massachusetts has been showing heavy snow here for at least the last 2 hours, at least since I've been watching it, and it continues, Mark, in this area with that persistent flow. Potentially 12 to 18 inches still to come here across portions of New Hampshire and Maine. But this is only the first round.
We're going to bring the really
right?
good news to you, right? We went through Riley, we're going through Quinn, and now maybe a third by early next week. Yeah,
we're stuck in this pattern. We're locked in, and sometimes the atmosphere can behave this way. Another piece of energy is going to be moving into the region, a deep trough that's going to travel across the country this week. Watch these two pieces of energy here combining together and then diving down into the southeast. That is potentially our next nor'easter here heading in this weekend and in the early part of this week. So we have the snow now. We have the wind now.
Right.
We could have more on top of that as we look ahead towards next week.
You have about 2 days to get rid of all that heavy, wet snow. Then this low brings snow further south, and then it winds up off the coast again.
Yeah, big impacts still to come for the Northeast.
Depending on which model you look at, will determine those impacts. Still nailing it down. More updates coming up.